The moment happened in broad daylight, in front of hundreds of people, and it shattered everything the world's richest businesswoman believed was possible. One heartbeat earlier, her little daughter had been sitting motionless in a customized wheelchair, unable to move her legs for nearly 3 years. The next heartbeat, the impossible unfolded. The little girl stood up, took one trembling step, then another, before suddenly breaking into a run straight toward an ordinary single father standing quietly across the charity park. The billionaire mother's face turned pale. Doctors gasped. Cameras dropped. Every person watching forgot to breathe. None of them knew that the humble man the child was running toward carried a past buried beneath silence, sacrifice, and secrets that had never been meant to surface. Before we begin this unforgettable story, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to Hardworking Dad. Your support helps us continue bringing inspiring stories that remind the world that compassion can change lives. Morning sunlight covered the city with warm golden light as thousands gathered in the Central Park for an annual charity event organized by one of the country's most influential business leaders. Vivian Ashcroft had built an empire from nothing, transforming a struggling technology company into a worldwide corporation worth billions. Every magazine called her unstoppable. Every television interview praised her discipline and intelligence. Yet behind every glamorous photograph was a mother whose greatest achievement could never compare to the heartbreak she carried every single day. Her daughter, 7-year-old Nora Ashcroft, had been left unable to walk after a devastating accident during a family vacation years earlier. Every specialist, every surgeon, every experimental treatment had promised hope before delivering disappointment. Vivian spent fortunes searching for miracles in hospitals across continents, but money could not purchase healing. The child smiled bravely for her mother, but every night Vivian cried alone where nobody could see her. The charity event had one purpose beyond publicity. Vivian wanted to raise millions for children with severe disabilities. She believed that even if she could not save her own daughter, perhaps another family might receive the miracle she had spent years searching for. Not far from the main stage stood a modest booth serving free breakfasts to struggling families. The booth belonged to a neighborhood volunteer organization that rarely appeared in newspapers. Working quietly behind the table was a tall man wearing faded jeans, work boots, and a simple blue shirt. His name was Elias Mercer. To everyone else, Elias looked like an ordinary construction supervisor raising his 10-year-old son alone after losing his wife to illness. He smiled easily, spoke softly, and never attracted attention. Few people knew he woke before sunrise every morning to prepare breakfast for homeless veterans before heading to work. Even fewer knew that years earlier he had served in one of the world's most demanding military special operations units. As a Navy SEAL, Elias had survived impossible missions that remained classified. After leaving the military, he disappeared into ordinary life, refusing interviews, recognition, or praise. His medals remained locked inside an old wooden box beneath his bed. His greatest mission now was simply becoming the father his son deserved. As the event continued, children laughed while musicians played cheerful songs beneath the clear morning sky. Volunteers handed balloons to young guests. Families enjoyed games across the bright green grass. The atmosphere felt peaceful, almost magical. Then something unexpected happened. While Vivian greeted donors near the stage, Nora quietly noticed Elias helping another child pick up a dropped toy. The little girl stared at him with unusual curiosity. Something deep inside her seemed drawn toward the gentle stranger. Without warning, she whispered that she wanted to meet the kind man. Her mother smiled sadly and carefully pushed the wheelchair across the lawn. Before they reached him, Nora suddenly gripped the armrests tightly. Her breathing changed. Her eyes filled with determination unlike anything Vivian had seen before. Then the impossible happened. The little girl slowly lifted herself out of the wheelchair. At first everyone believed she would fall. Instead, she remained standing. Vivian stood frozen. Doctors attending the event stared in complete disbelief. Nora took another shaky step. Then another. Suddenly she began running. She ran directly toward Elias Mercer. The little girl wrapped both arms around the surprised single father as though she had known him forever. Tears streamed down her cheeks while she smiled brighter than anyone had seen since before her accident. No doctor could explain what everyone had just witnessed. Elias gently knelt beside her, supporting her balance without panic or excitement. His calm expression suggested he cared more about the frightened child than the miracle itself. Vivian rushed forward, overwhelmed with confusion and emotion. She expected Nora's legs to collapse at any second. They never did. For several incredible minutes, the little girl remained standing beside Elias. Medical teams immediately surrounded Nora. Every examination produced the same astonishing result. Her muscle responses had returned. Her balance was improving. Sensation had dramatically increased. Experts searched desperately for scientific explanations. Vivian searched only for answers. She quietly asked volunteers who the mysterious single father was. Nobody knew much about him beyond his kindness. Over the following weeks, Nora insisted on visiting the breakfast program every Saturday morning. She laughed more than she had in years. Every visit brought small improvements. Physical therapists documented remarkable progress. Strength returned little by little. Hope replaced despair. Vivian noticed something unusual. Elias never claimed responsibility for the changes. He never suggested miracles. He simply encouraged Nora to believe in herself. Instead of treating her like someone broken, he treated her like every other child. She helped arrange food on tables. She watered flowers. She painted colorful signs for the community center. Each tiny accomplishment restored confidence she had lost long before her mobility. One afternoon Vivian finally sat beside Elias beneath a large oak tree while children played nearby. She expected to discover some hidden medical knowledge or secret therapy. Instead, she discovered something far more powerful. Elias explained that during military service he had witnessed people survive injuries doctors considered impossible. He had learned that healing was never only physical. Fear could imprison the body just as deeply as damaged muscles. Hope, trust, purpose, and emotional safety sometimes awakened strength buried beneath trauma. He admitted he had no medical training beyond battlefield emergency care. He believed the true miracle belonged entirely to Nora. She had simply found the courage to believe again. Those words stayed with Vivian. For years she had surrounded her daughter with specialists, equipment, and endless protection. Without realizing it, she had also surrounded her with fear. Every conversation centered around limitations. Every decision focused on avoiding disappointment. Every day reminded Nora of everything she could not do. Elias never spoke about limitations. He spoke about possibilities. Months passed beneath bright sunny mornings filled with laughter instead of hospital visits. Nora gradually walked without assistance. Then she learned to run. Then she rode a bicycle. Every achievement felt impossible. News reporters eventually discovered the incredible story. Television stations celebrated the billionaire's daughter's recovery. Most headlines focused on Vivian. She corrected every interviewer. She insisted the real hero was the humble single father who expected nothing in return. Journalists investigated Elias and eventually uncovered fragments of his military history. The nation was stunned. The quiet volunteer serving breakfast each weekend had once risked his life countless times protecting complete strangers. Yet Elias refused every invitation for television interviews. He believed heroes should be measured by how they lived after extraordinary moments, not during them. His greatest pride remained raising his son with honesty, compassion, and humility. Vivian admired that more than any financial success. One rainy afternoon she visited Elias's modest home carrying documents worth millions. She offered to purchase him a larger house, fund his son's education, and provide lifetime financial security. Elias thanked her sincerely. Then he politely declined. He explained that generosity meant far more when shared with families who truly had nowhere else to turn. He asked only one favor. Expand the breakfast program. Feed more children. Support struggling veterans. Create opportunities for single parents fighting impossible battles. Vivian left with tears in her eyes. For the first time since becoming wealthy, she understood that true riches were measured by lives changed rather than fortunes accumulated. Within a year she established the Mercer Hope Foundation, naming it after the man who had unknowingly transformed both mother and daughter. The foundation built rehabilitation centers combining physical therapy with emotional support, community activities, education, and family counseling. Thousands of children found renewed confidence through programs inspired by one ordinary volunteer who simply believed every child deserved dignity before sympathy. Nora became the foundation's youngest ambassador. She visited hospitals wearing bright colors and carrying handmade drawings instead of expensive gifts. She told frightened children that courage could begin with one small step. Sometimes that step was physical. Sometimes it was simply choosing hope again. Every sunny morning she returned to the same community breakfast where everything had changed. She still helped arrange tables beside Elias. She still laughed with his son. Nobody there cared about wealth or fame. They cared about people. Years later, visitors entering the community center noticed only one framed photograph hanging near the entrance. It showed a little girl taking her first impossible steps across a park toward a smiling single father. Beneath the picture appeared a simple message. The greatest miracles often begin with simple kindness. If this story has touched your heart so far, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Hardworking Dad. Your support allows these stories of courage, compassion, and second chances to reach even more people around the world. Special request, comment, kindness creates miracles, if you believe one act of compassion can change someone's entire life. Vivian often stood quietly outside the breakfast center as morning sunlight filled the streets, watching her daughter race across the grass with children from every background. She no longer saw a billionaire's heir or a child once trapped by tragedy. She saw a joyful little girl whose future had been restored by patience, humility, and unconditional kindness. Elias never accepted credit, never sought applause, and never considered himself extraordinary. Yet everyone whose life he touched knew the truth. The strongest people are not always the loudest or the wealthiest. Sometimes they are the ones who carry invisible scars, choose compassion over recognition, and quietly remind broken hearts that hope is never truly gone. And on that unforgettable day beneath the warm daylight sky, when a little girl stood up and ran toward an ordinary single dad, the world witnessed something greater than a miracle of healing. It witnessed the extraordinary power of love, selfless service, and the simple decision to believe in another human being when they can no longer believe in themselves.